Almighty God, we acknowledge that we have a responsibility to look after your creation, especially this region we call Barcaldine Regional Council. We are conscious that our decisions are going to affect deeply the people we have come here to serve. Assist us to exercise respect for councillors, staff and for the people of our region. Help us in this meeting to act wisely, justly and intelligently in all our deliberations. Thank you, Lord, for the privilege of both leading and serving, and assist us to do these well. Amen. Amen. While we're on our feet, are there any condolences, councillors? Thank you. Note that Councillor Rogers is not present in the chamber and asks that until she joins electronically, which we have had difficulties with this morning, I ask please that, or I will move that Councillor Rogers be listed as an apology for this morning's meeting and grant her a leave of absence until such time as she can join. Is there a seconder? Councillor Plum, those in favour? Carried 6-0. I take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and the lands of the Barcaldine Regional Council and their elders, both past, present and emerging. I call also now please for declarations of prescribed conflict of interest. Councillor Peters.
Prescribed? I don't think so, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gleeson.
I don't believe so, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Hanson.
I don't believe so, Mr. Mayor.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Plum. Councillors, I just want to throw out there, I don't personally believe this to be, but I'm happy if you do, that potentially agenda item 326 could cause a conflict for me, given that my youngest daughter, would be captured by the cohort of target recipients of this program. I don't believe that my daughter would stand to gain a benefit, or my family would stand to gain a benefit any greater than that of any other family in the region. That, from what I've read of the proposal, I'm not going to debate it right now, but it does look to be available to residents of both urban, town and all across. It's not specifically for people that live north of Alpha, but I'm in your hands if you were to view that there could be a perception. I'm happy to declare it and leave.
Well, along those lines, Mr. Mayor, I'll flag a granddaughter too. Same thing.
On those lines, grandson.
We're probably all in the same boat, Mr. Mayor.
I genuinely don't think we do, councillors, but, you know, just the test for a conflict is that you as a councillor or your immediate people you can touch on either side of you or your business close associates stand to gain a benefit that is greater than that of the majority of people in the council area. I genuinely don't think we are here. So, righto. Only takes one to speak up. Councillor Plum, do you have any declarations of, declarable conflicts of interest?
I don't believe so, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Arthur.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Hanson.
I don't believe so, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gleeson.
Declarable. Mr. Mayor, I just want to bring to your attention that 12 months ago, I was advised to have a declarable conflict of interest with Muddaborough Campdraft Association. I will be a competitor at the Campdraft if all goes well, but I don't believe that I have any more interest than anybody else. So I will leave it up to the committee, but to the rest of the group. But with item number 3.24, barrels for a cause, I have my daughter is the principal of that organisation, and I would be happy to leave the room for items number 3.24. But I don't believe that I have any more interest than anybody else for 3.21, but I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think out of an abundance of caution, though, for 324, that'd be right to leave your daughter's the president or executive member there. Is that correct? Yeah. Councillor Gleeson, Peoples, any declarables?
Yeah, 324, Mr Mayor, I'm a sponsor of the Merrills for a Cause. So I'll probably up to council whether I stay or go. Or do I just go?
Well, that's your view.
I'll leave too, Mr Mayor, that's fine.
All right. Does any councillor present believe any other councillor present may have overlooked a declarable or prescribed conflict of interest?
Through you, Mr Mayor, just to clarify, councillor Gleeson's, if it's close associate, it would be prescribed more so than declarable, wouldn't it?
It would be if it was their business, but because it's only dealing with a not-for-profit, their role on a executive of a not-for-profit, I think that would make it declarable.
Right.
Because they're not, yeah, that's the difference. So if his close associate was, and we were making a tender to award to their business, that would make it prescribed. But it's the same as if it was his role on the executive of, if he was on the executive, it would still only be a declarable because he's not personally benefiting from that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I believe that to be the case.
Ah, that's right.
Shane would be.
I'm sorry.
All right. No, if I could have somebody please move that we receive the minutes of the 20 February general meeting of council, please. Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Gleeson. Those in favour? Carried. Any errors, alterations or omissions? There being none, can I have somebody please move that they be confirmed? Councillor Plum, seconded Councillor Peoples. Those in favour? Carried. 6-0. Does any councillor or staff member present have a petition in the true and correct form? There being none, I move to request for assistance number 1321, Muddaborough Camp Draft Association, donation of $2,000 plus in-kind support to the value of $1,500. Paula.
I'll just take the report as read, Mr Mayor. Decisions there.
Questions? Thank you, Paula. Councillor Plum. Councillor Plum moves. Seconder. Councillor Peoples. Debate. Those in favour? 6-0. 322. Request for assistance by Alderman Men's Shed. Jenny.
I take the report as being read. There is no cost to council to this. It is actually our development application. It's our asset. So any improvements they make there is actually improving the asset belonging to council. So
Thank you, Jenny. Questions? Councillor Peoples.
I'll move, Mr.
Councillor Peoples moves. Seconded Councillor Plum. Debate. Questions? Those in favour? 6-0. Request for assistance, Barcaldine and District Historical Society Incorporated. Jenny?
this is support that we have been given for a number of years. There is a budgeted amount for assistance to community groups for insurance, not individualised, so this amount has been put up because it's over what I'm able to approve, and it's for their public liability insurance, and not just Barcaldine community but the wider public and visitors benefit from the mini trains and that they operate down there, and without the support, they're the sorts of things that communities could lose, so I support that.
And we're still well within the cap.
Yes.
Okay.
So, through you, Mr Mayor, the amount here is probably because of the trains you're saying, Jenny?
For you, Ms Mayor, yes.
Yep, okay.
Any further questions? Do I have a mover? Councillor Hanson, second Councillor Gleeson. Those in debate? Those in favour? 6-0. 324. Councillors. Karen?
I'll take the report as read and take questions if there's any questions.
Councillors, questions? Councillors, I don't know if you remember, I don't think we did it in this term, But in the last term, we had funds, Jenny and Paul, help me if I'm right here, I'm certainly not against this at all, but just allow me to digress in my old age. We had a thing, and it was, I think we only used it for racing. There was talk about camp draft, where there was we donated some money for the most successful trainer, I think, and perhaps maybe the most successful horse at the race meetings over Alpha, Buckhall and Aramac and Muttaburra. Did we do that? Is that right? Am I right in saying that? Or was it trainer or jockey, or there was some incentive?
Wasn't that for the Emerald races?
Yes, it was that Emerald 100.
Oh. So we didn't have an internal council competition, not competition, but okay. We must have talked about it in a briefing session and never followed through, because to me, if you've got an event that organisations, okay, 4 race meetings are being organised by 4 different committees, but this is one that's supporting, and they do run events in Aramac as well. I know this funding request, but we've already committed funds for the Aramac event, did we not? So, I just wonder whether, once again, moving forward, where we've got an event of exactly the same nature, so there's 3 that I can think of.
Multiple events.
Yeah, so there's camp drafting that happens in at least Buckhall and Muttaburra and Alpha. There's racing that happens in 4 of our 5 towns. There's rodeos that happen in 3 or 4, if not 5 of our towns. And obviously barrel racing happens. I just wonder whether to supplement or, whether we have our own little incentive for people that are, might be residents of the Shire or train horses in the Shire or even come from outside and welcome them as a visitor and investing money, And it need not be limited to horse sports. I know I've just picked on them 3 because they're common and they happen a lot, but I just wonder whether that might be something to look at in a budget moving forward to incentivise intra-town participation in events, because it's probably already happening anyway. Anyway, I thought for...
So this could be in a little junior football cluster that you can choose some of the good players or the people that participated the best or something like that.
Well, you could even use it if, say, because Buckhall and Rugby League's the only junior club we've got, to go down that track, you could incentivise them with some extra financial assistance to have a big cluster day that's not a part of the broader competition, but might get some kids over to try rugby league from Alpha or get the schools involved. Like at the moment, they already do some pretty good work actually, JRL, but we could definitely, you could expand this to all sports. Tennis, there's nothing that could be limited by other the scope of what you're doing in this respect. Even cultural type activities, if you look at it, and it just golf, there's a golf club in 4 of the 5 communities, quite active. 3, there's not one in Aramac, is there? No.
There is one in Jericho at Showgrounds that they are trying to bring back to life. So we'll see.
Very good one. There's a lot of rough on that golf course. I ain't playing there anytime soon.
But there's also through the cluster musters that have been happening, the one that Shanae attended in Jericho, they have a thing called a rage cage, and it's basically like a multi-purpose centre that has different sports within that one undercover area. So that's also something maybe to look at. So you're keeping it all together under the one roof, one lot of maintenance, because it's done in the one area. So again, for future thought for the budget.
Yep. Okay, just an observation that we do a lot of stuff in a lot of our different towns, and I think tying them together could be not by taking away the support we give the individual event. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that do this in lieu of that, but
No,
a small incentive.
like you said, the similar events that we have throughout the region, whether it's a aggregated points system for a local or whatever that can be. Like so that if you go to play 3 of the 4 opens, that the highest scoring person gets some sort of, and the same for the radio or the camp draft. Like if you're nominating them in the different.
Totally. And like Aramac run a camp draft as well. They just don't run it in town. Like Palahini's a very good camp draft. So there's things that tie our communities together, and it'd be nice to tie this up. And it might take a little bit of coordination and getting off the ground, and it might start with one sport and grow to others. But or one activity and grow to others, but anyway, I'll watch on with interest. Does somebody want to move this resolution, please? Councillor Plum, seconded Councillor Hanson. Those in favour, carried 4-0. Councillors can return. 325. Sorry to keep you outside, councillors, and just quickly to bring it speed into walking in, because most of the discussion had absolutely nothing to do with 324 at all. We were just talking about future, looking forward when we find events that are being run of the same nature right across the council area, whether we might be able to incentivise like a council-wide, whether it be, there's 5 campgrounds in the council area and there's 4 race days and 3 golf championships and tennis, whether that we could even see our way forward to supporting some sort of incentive right across the council area, whether it be tennis, golf, or sports, and junior rugby league. All right, Karen, 325.
I will take that report as being read as well and take questions.
Questions? Mover? You've got a question, yes, councillor?
It's not actually regarding this, but while we're discussing this, just something that I'd like to ask the council is, down at the Alpha, at the showgrounds at Alpha, there is no grandstands at all. And last year we carted, there's two small, there's a great big one and then there's a small one. There's no portables, I'm trying to say, there's no portables, no actual portable grandstands. And last year we carted grandstands, portable stands from here down there, returned them back. Over here at Arcaldon, at the Campdraft Radio Show, whatever you want to call it, arena, there is a minimum of 6 stands around there that very, very rarely get used. I just want to put it out to everybody there, have a little bit of a think about it, and just can a couple of these go to Alpha and stay there permanently, because they're here and they very rarely get used, very rarely. So I just wanted to.
I actually expected to see that as part of this request, but it's not there, councillor. I actually expected to see that request for information, assistance. I expected to see that in, but it's not.
Well, I know it's not because the group down there were trying to find funding to get some built. And then I was asked the other day, but it's not written, and it should have been written there. I was asked the other day, is there any possible chance of being able to take these ones down again? And then when we discussed it, we spent a lot of time over here, and they've got those stands all around there, and they don't get used.
Mr. Mayor, may I comment
You may.
on that? There has been an email from the Radio Association about those stands separately.
Separate to this.
They want council to cart it because of the damage last year. Council repaired when they were returned. That's still ongoing at this stage because we can't determine a cost. And those grandstands do get used, well, it's not every week or every month. They are used for May Day weekend, so they are used and they're quite difficult to transport, of course, but there is a separate ongoing request. There is an ongoing request from the organisation themselves to us about using them, but they want council to cut them.
Thanks, Jenny. That's why I was surprised, because I'd heard a conversation about the request, so I thought it would be in this, and then when it wasn't, I was like, maybe got withdrawn. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Plum.
Mr. Mayor, can I just switch Jenny? Roughly how much do they cost? Roughly.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, hard to determine because
So
they have
I
been
can
there for a very long
answer,
time.
because that organisation's come to me requesting a letter of support for their grant application. So roughly comparable to the 2 that are at the bull selling ring are about 25,000 each.
So that they have got.
That's from Felton Industries. They make those things.
Yeah, so they're going ahead to do funding to get some permanent ones.
Yeah, the decision for the grant though is not due for quite some time.
The gambling one's 100 grand and it closes next month.
Yeah, that's the one, the event that they're talking about next month.
Yeah, that's right, because they're quite financial, so.
Yeah, just a bit like a show though, that's the same organisation that runs a camp draft as well, so they need that money at the start of the bank, in the bank account at the start of the year to run their draft. Their freight bill for a camp draft can run from anywhere from 60 to 80,000. All right, move up. That's the ones, yeah. Councillor Plum, seconded. Councillor Gleeson, those in favour? 6-0. 326. Karen.
Yes, I'll take the report as being read and take questions. It is, I guess, a late in the season to...
A bit late in the swimming season.
Yes, to run this program. So my suggestion, as I have there, is either it could be approved for next year, but given that the leases are up at the pool when we don't know who the operator will be, so potentially have them reapply next year if they are still in that same position. But happy to take questions.
Councillors?
Yeah,
Councillor Plum?
Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor People should be to the punch.
You know, like, I really think this is a great program, but we're, as I say, it's late in the season, we're going into winter, and I'd like to see this come out at the beginning of spring for the next season of swimming.
Councillor People?
Karen, can I just ask, what towns do they do this program in, please?
Historically, they have gone to the other towns, but the last couple, they've actually said it's more beneficial to have it in the one spot, so they have it over a weekend and bring everyone together, because if they run it over an eight week program, they don't get all the people there for the entire 8 weeks because they're out on property, so coming in on the weekends, so they were running it over a long, big weekend.
Sorry, Karen, if I can answer there, Councillor. When they first started it, we funded them to deliver this in Alpha and Jericho, and we actually didn't have to put too much with it, and then they moved to the bigger event. And Councillor Gleeson or Jenny, can you remember when they've only run one of them and they ran it here?
Excuse me, I thought they ran something in each community for that last one. Not the one that we funded, the first one.
The first
I
one.
thought they ran something in each community. That was,
Yeah, but they only ran one of the big events, though. Just sorry if I'm going
which
back.
was here.
It was here.
One big one. But there was little events here, Muddaborough, yeah.
The reason I ask that, Mr Mayor, is that the information that I can get out of Aramac is that they run a course now to teach kids and what have you, and parents are paying for that. So that's good because those kids are getting taught. But where we're missing out is where the kids aren't getting paid for, and you know, those kids that their parents aren't paying for. This year would get those kids in too.
Correct.
So I think there's a benefit there if we can do it in all towns, so as we catch all the kids and teach them to swim if possible.
So it's through you, Mr Mayor. The drowning prevention and Macamini meet days, so they ran on the 21st of November 2021. There was 168 children at Jericho, which included Jericho State School, Aramac State School, Alpha State School, St Joseph's Park Walden, Longreach Distant Ed and Capricornia School Distance Education. 29th of November 2022, Alpha, they ran there, and it was 51 children.
Order, sorry. Welcome, Councillor Rogers, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah.
Sorry, we did hold half an hour, Councillor, and I wasn't sure how much longer it was going to take, so we did start. And just for your reference, we're at agenda item 326. Is there any remaining agenda items that you would wish to declare a PC or DCOI?
Just in 354, Mayor, and 366.
Sorry, the first item was?
Just 3.6.4, the district manager's report that mentioned of the trail, and the 3.6.6 project progress report, but I would prefer to stay in the room for those if possible, Mr. Mayor.
That's your already existing declared conflicts of interest, so unless councillors wish to amend anything there, then we'll stand on where we're at with that. And I don't know if you had any conflicts of interest in the earlier agenda items, but all resolutions have passed as presented.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did have one, but if they're already passed, I don't have to worry about that, do I?
No, that's correct, because you will have been noted as having joined the meeting at 9:24 and those items had already been discussed.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, we are just discussing the history around the delivery of the Learn to Swim programs as they've been. Karen is briefing us on her report. There's been a couple of questions, but we're very early in the deliberation of that agenda item. Karen.
Just going back to the email I received from Alpha Learn to Swim, the two that were most recently run was 10th of March 2023 at the Alpha Swimming Pool with 101 children, included Jericho State School, Alpha State School, Longreach Distance Ed and Capricorn Distance Ed, and the Alpha and Jericho Community Children. And on the 30th of March at Longreach Swimming Pool, 48 children. And that included Muttaburra and Longreach Distant Ed and the local Muttaburra children. So, to determine whether that was well received across the entire region, I'll leave to councillors.
Just forgive me, Karen, this is a request to deliver the project in
The program.
2024-25. Yes. Like they're not trying to deliver it, from what I can see, in the next 3 weeks before the pool's shut, are they?
Well, I think that was their intent to try to deliver it, because with the lease up, there's no guarantee, moving forward.
But they don't have the lease in all of our facilities now anyway. It's not
No,
necessarily contingent to the lease.
that's correct. They're operating this drowning prevention across all the pools at the region. They've only got the lease, Alpha and Jericho.
I think we can divorce ourselves from the two issues around, and I think it would be injurious or prejudicial to link the two because they are two totally separate things. A future council may enter into any sort of, or not enter into any sort of contractual arrangement regarding the management of pools, but this program, as is presented, is, and to echo the words of Councillor Plum and Councillor Peoples, very important for, there are more children under the age of 7 drowned in regional and remote Australia than any other part of Australia, and I may sound like the proponents in saying that, but that is the reality of the situation. We own the facilities. I think Nick, it may frustrate the proponents, but I think realistically the best time to deliver this is 24-25, when there's time to sufficiently advertise it. People that live in regional areas can't just drop everything they're doing all of a sudden and go, boom, we're going there. But if this was delivered with 6 months of planning, 6 months of promotion through, like honestly, September and the pool's reopening is going to be here before you can blink. There's probably, I think my thoughts, councillors, for what it's worth, I don't need to debate with the officer here. My thoughts are that we do support this entirely, but we deliver it 24-25. I think we'd be pushing, I don't know that we'd get the bang for the buck. That if we were to try and deliver this, some of our pools are going to shut offices when? When are we shutting Barcaldine, Jenny?
But if they promised me.
So 6 weeks?
End of April.
We've got 4 to 6 weeks to get this off the ground, funded, promoted and delivered. I won't stand in your way if that's what you want, but I just don't know that we're going to get it done, are we?
Mr. Mayor, I agree with you. I'm happy to support it, but I think it should be in the, in the next summer. But I also think that we should try and capture all the small towns as we capture as many children as we can.
But I think, once again, I think taking 6 months to plan this properly allows the district managers to ensure, working with the proponent, that the funding is delivered in the method that the council intends, which is for everybody to have the maximum opportunity to participate. And that may need some tweaking of this arrangement. So a supporting principle for the delivery today, gives the proponent or the applicant some certainty that it'll happen, provided it happens in agreement with the direction that is set by council and our staff around ensuring that. So I think that's in the best interest of everybody here, and ironically, whilst they might not think so, even in the interest of the applicant to get the best outcome possible. Councillor Rogers, have you got anything to add?
Mr Mayor, did you say that there's only four or 5 weeks left in the season this year?
That's correct. The latest our pools will be open is the last week in April, so that's 6 weeks, and some of them are going to start shutting earlier than that. So we're inside the last 2 months of the pool season being open. Plus, some of those days I'd imagine are going to be quite uncomfortable to be in the water before about midday or 2 o'clock.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, it does seem like it would be rushing things through to try and incorporate that, like, before the close of this season.
I don't think that what we're proposing here, councillors, is at odds with the recommendation. Karen, is that was in
No,
fact what
that's
you
the
were?
consideration was for the 24-25
Yeah.
financial year.
Is someone happy to move that?
Mr Mayor, but can we add something that could be,
Yeah, okay. Just can we go to a third dot point then, please?
could the applicant reply to council? Oh, well,
No,
council.
no. And support, and the CEO will negotiate with Alpha Learn to Swim a delivery schedule that will ensure all communities have suitable and necessary access to participate in the program.
Because through you, Mr Mayor, I would have liked to have seen maybe a program for delivery. Look, because there's some good historical stuff in there, but some of it's dated and it doesn't project what the money, well, we know what the money is going towards, it's Learn to Swim, but where and when, and a little bit more of that detail would be appreciated.
I think another dot point then could be once developed, this schedule will be represented to council and promoted broadly within the community. Is that the amendment you're seeking, council?
Yeah, that's fine, but the CEO,
Well, we can't delegate it to anyone else, obviously it'll be district managers, but
no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, Mr Mayor, is that to ensure all communities have suitable and necessary access to participate, that could mean you can still have it in one town, as long as the CEO understands that we would like this to go to all towns. Yep.
okay, so we can reword that.
I'm happy with that as
No,
well.
I know what you're saying, but we can put it beyond reasonable doubt. Does say across the 5 towns of the region there. But that is to only assist in the prevention of drowning. So if we go down, we'll just reword that third dot point, the first one you retold for me. We'll negotiate with Alpha Learn to Swim a delivery schedule that will ensure all communities.
Is it as strict as saying having localised
Each town
individual?
dedicated.
Just go all towns.
Not necessarily towns, because you want
It's
the,
just put the pools out.
ones that
Yeah, the intent is to have one at night.
Yeah, that's fine. That's better. Delete with the black after that. Yeah.
Yes.
Did we have a mover and second? I don't think we did. No. Councillor Plum, second Councillor Gleeson. Debate. Just for the record, Councillor Rogers, read those resolution. Can you see the screen? Can you see what's been proposed there?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I can, yeah.
Did you have a question or were you preparing to vote?
I thought you said to, vote, actually, so I was.
That's all right. I was, and then I realised that I wasn't sure whether you could see, so I was just stepping back to make sure you knew what you were voting on. All in favour? 7-0. I think in that, councillors, you can tell from the support letters that have come from, relatively speaking, across the council area, but actually one area, but the importance and the significance that parents who've been able to access that have placed on that early learn to swim stuff. So I think it could be good if we can be a part of it. 331, can I have somebody move the financial performance report, please? Councillor Hanson, second Councillor Peoples. Those in favour? 7-0. Ben.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The finance report for the month ending 29th of February. We've got the results there for the month end. The financial performance is showing quite a large loss at the moment. That is largely due to the grant funding that we received from the Federal Assistance Grant, which comes in later in the year. So that is still on track at the moment from a budget perspective. We are showing some numbers quite significantly under the grants and subsidies, which we've talked about at previous meetings. The flood damage work is in progress, and that is equalled out across the year. And I suppose with work just commencing now, we'll start to see some increases in that. So the low take up of grant subsidies and contributions is offset by reduced material and services as well. Probably a point to make there is even though we've received a number, or all the flood damage package is 30% upfront payment, we don't actually recognise that money as revenue until we have spent that money. So it's part of our accrual accounting that we have to use for managing our finances now. The other items in the revenue space there, fees and charges are slightly under, but we are at the quiet time of the year, so we do expect that with the tourist season starting to commence next month, that will pick up and still achieve where we're aiming to be at budget at the end of the financial year. Interest is performing quite well, and then we have our recoverable works income is significantly under budget at the moment. However, we do have a claim for about $1.3 million in progress at the moment, so that will bring it back up to where we expect to from a budget point of view. Rates are going out on Monday, so that they'll be mailed out later this week with an issue date on Monday, the 18th of March. In the expenditure space,
Just while we're on rates. Because the levies and charges component of rates, but it was slightly over the budget, which had almost been unheard of. Like,
some of the variances when we look at breakdown, have a look at the rates was in the water and sewer space. We might have unbudgeted. That was adjusted in the latest budget. So,
yeah, okay, right. Sorry. Apologies, proceed.
The employee benefits are as per budget, which is tracking very well, and our material and services, as I mentioned, is slightly under as a result of a lot of our flood damage works tenders. A couple of they just really kicked off now, with a few more to come in the next couple of months. In the maintenance programs, as we have spent a fair bit of time internally working on our maintenance programs, that has seen a number of these budgets either exceeding year to date, or even in Rural Roads' case, actually exceeding the annual budget for Rural Roads at this point in time. There is a number of the road crews are moving to deliver a number of the capital works projects to complete the work they need to do before the end of the year, and also move into the flood damage space, which we've seen over the last month. So I think I think this calendar year we've only spent about 100,000 in that space. So it has been sitting just under that 2 million for a couple of months, but now it's just ticked over. The plant operations is there as well, just slightly over budget at this stage, and Parks and Gardens is reflective of the season that we've had with the weather. In the capital space, a number of the capital programs are progressing quite well with expenditure in that space. The plant equipment is well and truly on track with a number of items being delivered already. It is probably inflated slightly. That 2.9 figures is the net of our plant, so that's not just the purchase but also contains the revenue, the sales revenue of that aspect of the capital revenue. So while we have received 1.6 million, there is items to be sold or moved on. That is inflating that figure slightly, which will bring that number back down. Roads infrastructure is in front of budget at this stage, largely due to those couple of key projects on Texas and Aramac Jericho roads, which have been progressing since 1 July. I believe Aramac Jericho road is about is more than 90% complete and will be complete in the next 2 weeks. Sewage is kind of, as at the moment, well under budget, which we'll talk about in the project report later. In the cash space, the cash balance for the end of February was just over 26 million, with a fair chunk of that, around 15 million of that, is currently restricted cash, tied up with grant funding we have mostly from our flood damage programs. We do have I didn't point that out. We do have over $3 million in contract assets still outstanding as well. So the unrestricted cash ratio balance at the moment has slipped below that target of 4 months. It is at 3.32 at the moment. With the rates coming in, that should be able to pick that up to maintain that for the rest of the financial year. Our surplus cash is another way of looking at how much cash we have available, and that's been consistent for the last few months at 7 months available. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Dan. Dan, I just want to line up that it's infinitesimally different, and it could be just the difference between reporting different accounts, but our on page 67, our cash balance 29 June is 26,030,000 with change.
Yeah.
Then on page 69, the actual year-to-date figure is 25,952,000. Is that just a reconciliation, or is it that value of that separate account? Well, it's only minor, but
It may have been the time of month, Mr. Mayor.
the report was generated.
Yeah. Okay, I'd say that's what it is. I probably should also point out in the table for the unrestricted cash ratio, it does say there's 18 million of unrestricted cash. The actual number is 7.7 million. So that's why that number has dropped as significantly as it has.
Is what figure, sorry?
7.7 million. So 7708257.
Okay. That was my next question. How could it be less cover? But that's all right. It's just a...
Yeah, we identified our grant we'd received, which we were recognising unrestricted, but it is obviously a flood damage grant, so we had to be right. We've adjusted that during the month of February.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify that, on page 67, the February 24, where it's got 26 million cash, 15.6 restricted and 18.3, because they don't add up.
Yeah, so that 18 million is actually the restricted cash amount.
18,324,10.
Yep, so the 18,322,410 is the restricted cash amount, and the actual amount of unrestricted cash is that 7.7 million.
But so, sorry, how are we so confused that we've got restricted as 15.6 million and unrestricted as 18.3, but then that doesn't add up to the,
It's a formula in an Excel spreadsheet, is the reason why it was an error. And I picked that up as we reviewed it in preparation for this meeting, and we've just made the correction. So the unrestricted cash amount is 18.3. The other numbers in the other columns have been checked for the other months. They are the correct amounts. But the formula there, for some reason, was an error.
And that flood damage that it picked up, is that the 30% prepayment for a package of works, or is that a closeout of a prior year flood damage event?
So that was the 30% prepayment for the Aramac second submission.
And it didn't pick it up as when it was originally picked up by this, it wasn't picked up as...
Oh, not in this, just in the way we accounted for it. So the January amount was reflecting that as unrestricted cash.
Yep. Right. So that's why the 7 million, 708, because you took that away. What was the size of that claim? Roughly.
30%, so that would be around a $20 million claim.
Right. Oh, sorry, what was the 30% payment though?
The prepayment for the Aramac submission.
How much was that in cash? Sorry, I'm just trying to work.
5 million.
Right. Yeah, right.
so through you, Mr Mayor, when did we receive that? Roughly what month?
It was right at the end of December.
And did we get that as part of, remember they were giving us, they had about 7 different RCTIs there over the 2 days. Did they balance out recipient created tax invoices? They sent them through to us for them, and they had all the amounts listed. Did they take away, like there was money going both ways there? Did we just get one figure net, anything we owed them?
At that point in time, I believe that payment from memory was the entire 30% of that.
So they didn't try and take away anywhere where we had to repay them.
The repayments. No, the repayments hadn't been finalised. They were finalised.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, good. So we did get the full amount, is what I was trying to say. We're not being touched for
no, so there's
30%.
There is an amount that we will incur at some stage when we do our next claim.
Yeah, for that balance.
For those balances, yes.
And then in
Sorry, Mr Mayor, can I just clarify? So our cash is 26,030 roughly.
Yes.
Our restricted is
18.3 million.
so that's in the wrong column.
Yeah.
And then our unrestricted is
7.7 million.
so that's $11 million difference in or $10 million difference in a month.
Yes.
And if that $7 million only goes up in January or December, how has that unrestricted figure from so far back been tracking steadily upwards, but then like the $7 million seems to make a $10 million difference? And it's not as if like $7 or $10 million seems to be added to our total cash. But we're trending downwards in cash from July.
Yes, that's correct. There would have been a bit of an increase around October with rates.
the figures do balance though. 26,030,000 is comprised of 18,322,410 plus 7,708,256. That does, the cash at bank does balance. So in January, the restricted and unrestricted figures would be impacted by that 7,708. That should swap from one to the other basically even in January. But December it would be accurate because we hadn't received it then. Would that be right?
No, December we received it right at the end of December.
But it
Still not $7 million more than that.
it doesn't visually look like we've received anywhere near that. Like, there doesn't seem to be a a bump in the projections or the actuals, it honestly just looks like we've misplaced $10 million.
We did have some significant payments to make in December and January. That would be so instead of that being 17.4 million in January, that should be 12 million.
Would those payments have been for expenses or assets? Would they appear in there, in that table?
I don't have them at that table, Mr. Mayor. All they're reporting at the moment, all they're reporting out of the current finance system is very manual. And while we can get data out, we do have formulas to generate as much as we can. We are trying to continue to improve that. We are doing it manually.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, while I can accept that, it's still, it clouds a lot of the information that we get though. And then decisions that we've made or, yeah, right.
So if I can just say, the 7708,256 figure that we received, that would, the restricted cash balance in December would be, instead of 11 million, would be 18 million and 32,000, something like that, 732,000, is that right, roughly?
Plus the 5 million, so 11 plus the 5 makes 16.
But didn't we get 7708 and we incorrectly put it in as unrestricted? Oh, the payments offset that, is what you're saying?
The 7708 is the current unrestricted cash balance at the end of February.
Sorry, my apologies. Sorry, it's 5 million. Okay, gotcha. The balance is only $5 million the other way. So we take 5 off the 17,970 and put it across onto the 11,022,150.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Well, in that table, we're going to have the councillors. Right numbers.
I did have a question too regarding water infrastructure. We're close to budget. Is there, we amended the budget, obviously, for that, but some of that operating, oh sorry, that's capital. My apologies. Sorry, we amended the operating budget by 200,000, but I was wondering if we're going to exceed that, but sorry, that graph that you've got there is for the capital works.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, my apologies. That was the only other question I had.
And I'll just go back to that graph again too, please, Mr. Mayor,
Which one?
on page 67.
Yep.
So I'm a bit like Dan, I just need a bit of, sorry, Councillor Arthur. With the restricted, we're jumping from 10,912 to 18. When you change that figure, so that's jumping from 10 to 18 with your restricted.
Oh, from January, yes. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So your unrestricted jumps from 17 back to 77.
17 back to 77, that's correct, yes.
So you've got your unrestricted dropping 10 million and
Yes.
your restricted increasing by 8 million.
7. Up 5 million in flood damage.
Predominantly flood damage.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, it cost us, I think, whatever it was, 2.5 million for the month, so
See, there's
that's probably where some of those go.
money going out the door at the same time. It's not all like non-recoverable money going out the door is the difference.
Okay.
It's not just as easy as going from one to the other because you've still got to pay bills as the same.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was just the size of those, that's all. Yeah.
I'll amend that table, Mr. Mayor, and distribute that, and I'll provide some additional notes.
Where that comes from. And the difference between the 2630 and the 29952 could just be a date that the report was generated.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, because both page 69 and 65 have got the same figure. So and that's obviously something straight out of practical, is it? That report.
That one is, the statement is, yes, that is correct.
And the financial position,
The financial position.
that one?
Yeah, that's right. Financial statements are all out of practical.
Yeah.
So these new IT systems that we're looking at, Dan, are going to help a lot with these sorts of reports? Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of manual work out.
Yeah.
At the moment, Mr Mayor, by the time we run end of month and run this report, it's about 5 to 6 days of labour. Just putting the reports together. So by the time we get through our end of month processes and then put the report together, even if you take out that, it's probably still over a day's putting the finance report together because we're pulling all the numbers in the system. So we should be able to turn that around in, the report should be able to be largely a click of a button. So 1 to 2 hours, then add some checking to make sure all the numbers are correct.
Because a reconcile balance is a reconcile balance. When someone's checked off a receipt or a transfer, can't alter the cash, can it? It's only where it's been spent that you can alter or receipted.
So through you, Mr Mayor, that the surplus cash on page 67, sorry, on line 68. So that's probably not that 7 months either then. Because if we've halved our other ratio from 6 to 3 for this month, 3 for this month. And if we've only got 7 million.
I don't think when you do the surplus cash cover ratio, you exclude restricted cash. It just works on your total cash. That's the different way, the two different ratios. So one ratio is your restricted cash cover, and the other ratio is your surplus cash to liabilities cover.
Right, sorry.
Yeah, two different. The starting point for both is different. One is total cash at bank, and the other one is your unrestricted.
Yeah, because I noticed the ratios seem to go like that.
They do.
Yeah.
Definitely. But questions? Oh, I wondered, sorry, there was a question I had from the last meeting about whether, it may have even been January, with our rural roads slightly exceeding the budget, are we aware of the significance of what may be still to happen in the next 3 months in that space? Are we thinking gross blowout there, or is the majority of where they're going to be working for the next little bit going to be flood damage reconstruction?
Through the Chair, the discussions with the senior work supervisors, the plan is to be delivering capital programs and also flood damage works. A number of the roads that are needing maintenance do have flood damage funding approved and works on those roads. So largely those roads can be completed under flood damage. There may be there's still expected to be a little bit more maintenance, but that'll be, it's more on an as-needs basis as opposed to any planned work at this stage.
And was there, I know this is probably more of a works question in a minute anyway, but was there a reconsideration of the most recent event as being a claimable event?
We claim purely.
So with that, there's a potential for some of those emerging maintenance issues to be covered under emergent works from purely. So that wouldn't, therefore, if it's in that and it's considered emergent, it's not going to really affect maintenance, is it?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So we might be able to hold that maintenance very close to budget. With 3 months still to run.
Emergent works is limited though.
It is, yeah, that's right.
It's only really making the road trafficable again. It's not fixing the road as such.
No, but it might be enough to get us through to the end of June.
We have got a few roads that qualify, I think, under that.
Yeah.
Mr Mayor, the capital works you just mentioned, what are they?
There's a number of R2R projects that need to be completed for the end of the year. I'll jump to the progress report.
We've also got a road crew working part of the Aramic winding.
That's probably what I'm reading. When are we getting cracking out there?
Already is. A large amount of that project though will be gravel work.
And the sidetrack.
And is that, what's the size of that job?
Which one?
The TIDS job on the Aramac market?
There's 1.2 million that has to be completed this year. The full scope of works is still being derived for that because it'll overlap 2 different years. We've got a $1.4 million job to go with it, but I think it'll be bigger than that even by the time they see it.
So the TIDS job's only 1.2?
By 30 June, the job is much bigger than that, but the volume of work we need to have completed by 30 June has to be 1.2 million of that.
Yeah, so our commitment to main roads is 1.2 worth of works.
Right. Correct. The scope of works is going to be north of 5.
Okay.
The whole project.
Our obligation's 1.2 worth of work. Right.
A lot of which will be, we have to be clear, a lot of which will be materially driven by materials. But there's things like sidetrack establishment, there is a component of that will be required to be done by us. But then things like material procurement, whether it be culverts or stockpiling of gravel, is money in and out, not necessarily huge volumes of work to be done by us in that respect. There may be a pad site development, but pretty minor compared to what's going to happen after 30 years.
We go to do grass and do a sidetrack.
But there's town streets as well.
Yeah, there's some town street projects. I think the Northern Crews are looking at flood damage as being a large part of the program up there. Here in Barcaldine there's a bit of flood damage, but there's also Box Street and then out to the Barcaldine Aramac Road. And Aramac, Alpha and Jericho have flood damage work, but also the Stardowns Road is another key project they're trying to get done this year, as well as some other R2R projects to close out as well.
Thanks, Dan.
Because they've got the same deadline, R2R as TIDS. It's not spent by 30 June, it doesn't get spent, it goes back.
Okay.
That's the expiration of that program. The new one commences next year and it's double, roughly, a little bit more than double. Councillor Gleeson.
So what you're saying, Mr Mayor, is the roads probably won't be bitumen or graded or whatever, but then procurement, as you said, the sidetracks.
Stardowns will have to be done.
Which?
Stardowns will have to be done, it'll have to be finished.
Of Stardowns?
No?
Still got those.
Oh, the LRCI, sorry. My apologies.
It's been extended, but this road here,
Definitely no bitumen.
with the gravel and the sidetracks and floodways and culverts and all that sort of stuff, yeah, that money can be spent without being wasted before the 30th of June.
Had to go on the gravel procurement, all that sort of stuff.
20,000 cubic metres of gravel.
While we're talking about that rural roads, is there, in the plan, is there much in the northern sector of Aramac, is there much flood damage to be done there?
There's 2 packages we probably won't get out this month because we'll want to get out a couple of the projects that need to be completed by 30 June. So probably early April, we'll go out with a couple of tenders for the 2 tenders for the Aramac area. They're quite large packages.
Muttaburra.
Yeah, Muttaburra and north of Aramac as well. So we'll
The sections of roads over there, I've been talking to people, the sections of roads over there haven't centigrated for 2.5 to 3 years, have not centigrated.
Yeah. So the package for work around Muttaburra is fairly significant. So that'll be.
Thank you.
Before we go on to project reporting, before we break for morning tea, we could delve into project reporting if we keep going here. Any questions back to the financials?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I just want to clarify. Questions on notice last month, I asked about the carryover projects from last year, and the response was included in the finance report. But is that this one or the project?
I've provided an update of the projects report is where I'm putting it, where I can talk to those.
Okay. No, just because the comment covering sewerage in our financial one has been there since January. It hasn't changed much. About sewerage remains a concern with clear future costs to complete these projects still being determined.
That's correct. Still correct.
Still not being
Surgery
determined.
plans one of the challenges we have.
All right. So that question about that isn't, yeah, right, so he'll be coming up with the answer to that.
Yeah, no, I just want to clarify. Because
also-
this one gets called financial report, but the other one is project report.
Sort of other financial impact groups.
Really,
Councillor Rogers.
just wanted to clarify that, the table on page 67, that he was going to send us a correct one, like, after the meeting, is that correct?
That's
Yeah.
correct, and there'll be some supporting notes of the changes as well.
The chief changes are going to be in the bottom two lines, aren't they, Dan, not just the bottom line?
That's correct.
That's right. Very good. All right, we'll break for morning tea. Hour 6. Come back to the community care services report.
Stop recording, Mrs. Hall.